Hello and welcome back to Super Wall Jump, a video games podcast where I talk to content creators and video game developers and everything in between. With me today, I have Krloz from The Physical Cut, and we're going to talk about physical media. Say hi, Krloz.
Welcome. Hi. How are you?
So, who are you and what do you do?
I am a imposter when it comes to physical media. I guess I love my physical media. I started just recently a podcast on it. I wanted to involve at least my the community. I wanted to grow a community when it comes to physical media and film. My background is in politics. Studied politics. I wasn't in politics, but right now I've been producing events for about 10 years now. I moved from that. It was a little bit stressful, so I wanted to move myself to a better, more experiences, basically. But I've been producing events for about 10 years, private events, and I've been wanting to produce theater for basically my entire life. I've been moving to New York here, trying to make it. And, but I've always been in love with physical media, especially films. And that's the whole purpose of my podcast.
Awesome. So, what is physical media for people that have never heard that term before somehow?
And physical media is a lot of people just basically narrow it down to films and games, but physical media is basically anything tangible. You have your books, that's physical media. You have your CDs, your cassettes, all of that is just physical media. Anything that is basically an entertainment format that is tangible that you can hold in your hand, that is physical media.
Makes sense. And why is physical media important in this day and age? I mean, I have a computer, as probably just everyone else out there. So if you already have a computer, why would you purchase a hard copy of a disc?
I mean, basically, it comes down to ownership. Physical media is all about ownership. The reason we got together is because we are getting news about physical media just disappearing or dying. I probably one of the best examples, and this is why I started the whole campaign with my podcast to help physical media thrive and survive, is because one night I wanted to sit down and watch 2 Week Notice. It's a movie that I have to watch whenever I feel like it just comes to me. It's like but it's an epiphany sometimes. And I was like, I knew it was on Netflix, and it was on Netflix. Everything on Netflix was working properly. I played a few other shows and a few other movies that were working properly, but for some reason, 2 weeks notice was not playing. It was not. It was just buffering for about an hour. I took a shower, came back, made popcorn, came back, still buffering, and I checked my in my shelves. I don't have it. And I'm like, I really want to watch this movie. It's one of those movies that I just need to watch when I need to. So it was a headache, to be honest. Like, after that, I just turned Netflix off. I don't think I've been to Netflix since. I don't even have a Netflix membership anymore. And most of the movies, whenever I want to go see them, and I know they're streaming, and I look for them, they're out of my playlist or my watch list. And that is sometimes, like, it is a headache because, again, you set your mood up and you want to Netflix and chill. And when I mean Netflix and chill, I mean popcorn and myself. So it's like, you want to watch as good as it gets. You want to watch, something's got to give. And it's not there. It's not there. You want to feel good movie, and now you're feeling bumped out because your movie's not there. And
Yeah.
when physical media right now, I can go to my room and grab, as good as it gets, and 2 weeks notice, and guess what? I can just pop them in, get my kicks in whenever I want to watch those movies. And that's probably one of the reasons, the main reason for supporting and just like saving physical media, is to be able to, access it whenever you want. It's not up to the streamers, it's not up to the licensing, it's just up to basically you owning it. It's all about you owning it.
It's way more reliable.
Yes.
Because, again, with something like Netflix or Amazon Prime or what have you, these licensing deals that they have for movies oftentimes can last like 6 months, and then it's gone. And then you have to go onto Google and be like, where can I find Superman from 1997? Oh, well, actually, that's only available on this niche streaming service that's only available in, like, the UK. unless you own it physically, in which case the only obstacle is whether or not you have a DVD player or a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, you go check, and it's like somewhere in Slovakia, and I'm like, I'm not Slovakian. I can't access that. Um, you mentioned something. Oh, it's also the fact that now a lot of the news and a lot of the criticism, not just from physical media done, it's just even if you own it on digital,
Mm-hmm.
is subject to disappear. Like they don't have to tell you. At this point, you're not even buying it. You're basically
Mm-hmm.
just renting it. And it's ironic because sometimes they advise you, oh, this might disappear from your library at one point. You're
Mm-hmm.
welcome to download it to an external hard drive. I'm
Mm-hmm.
old enough to know. I think that's called bootlegging, isn't it? Or is it pirating? Because that's what we used to do back in the day with torrents, LimeWire. Wasn't
I mean,
that also an
you
external
can.
hard drive?
It depends, right? If you are torrenting something, you could theoretically say that that is pirating.
No.
I think bootlegging would be the appropriate term of, all right, cool, I own this, but I'm gonna make a copy of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is what people
but
are doing now. They're doing that now.
well, you have to.
Hmm.
Recently in the news, Sony announced that they were going to be deleting 551 movies and TV shows from people's accounts in the UK. This is because they got those movies and TV shows from a deal with Studio Canal. Studio Canal and them did not reach a new deal, and so on September 1st of this year, they're no longer going to have access to those movies. So if you bought one of those movies on PlayStation, it's going to be gone. Sorry, uh, it's not allowed for you to own it because these days, a lot of the times when you are purchasing a digital good, you are not actually making a purchase. You are actually purchasing a license to use it, and that license can be revoked very easily, which we are finding out. Hey, even if you purchase a movie on any of these streaming services, cool. If Amazon loses the rights to show you a certain show, it doesn't matter if you bought it. It's going to be gone. And then, that $15 that you spent, you could have just bought a hard copy of a disc and put it on your shelf, and then you wouldn't lose it.
No, that is true. I feel like I know that your podcast is safe for work, so I'll just use another lingo. But it's funny because you keep getting news every day. Is Gen Z is discovering physical media or the importance of
Mm-hmm.
physical media, and then my apologies. Then you have PlayStation basically or Sony saying, "Yeah, nope." It reminds me of that meme. Trying to the meme from Horrible Bosses. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they use a lot. With what's his name? He's like the F you're not. So it's like that's basically
Mm-hmm.
what when Sony came up with the news and then comparing the news of Gen Z discovering physical media, all I could think about now, and I'm probably gonna make it later because it's in the back of my head, and it's like yeah, then you got Sony like no the F you're not like you're not
Mm-hmm.
discovering anything at this point. We're just gonna take it all away, and
Mm-hmm.
I get the fact that it's like people I posted on Reddit and I said, what do you think about physical media or at least Sony taking out physical games? I'm not a big gamer. I'm a movie collector. I can talk about movie
Mm-hmm.
collecting all day, but I have I have tons of PS4s, PS5 games, and
Mm-hmm.
most of them were during pandemic. I said, you know what, we're probably all gonna die, and before we die, I want to play Outer Circle, Outer Rim, whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 seconds later, I got bored. Not gonna lie, but the thing is that at least I was able to go somewhere, socialize with people. Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
buying if you're buying digital games, you're only socializing with the store.
Yeah.
Um, you're not socializing with anybody else. I went to the GameStop during the pandemic with my mask and seeing
Mm-hmm.
humans. I was afraid of seeing zombies or something at that point. It's like no, humans still exist, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking to a human. I'm buying, with the government money, all these games because somehow we had to spend that money, and I, I would just go home, put one in and feel like at least I was not just contributing to the economy per se, but it's also like
Mm-hmm.
I got to talk to a human today. And this
Yeah.
human recommended, this. game because he knows I like adventure games, open world games, and I get the fact that you could go buy a used game for maybe half the price they want to sell it for. They're not getting
Mhm.
any money out of that. But if you put that same context of, oh, we're not making money because people are buying used games, then okay, well, books would not exist because I have a lot of books that are secondhand
Mhm.
books. That doesn't mean that that author Stephen King, for God's sake, like I have a whole Stephen King. I call it the Dark Tower. It's like a huge bookcase. It's all Stephen King. A lot of them are secondhand books because I buy a different cover anytime I find it. Same thing with Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre. That is the
Mhm.
importance for me when it comes to physical media in literature. I have different versions, like right here, at least for you, I have this version that I bought. This is a used version of Wuthering Heights. It's a hardcover that it was printed in 1960 something. And I
Mhm.
got it when I was traveling. I found it. I was like, you know what? I'm taking it. I'm pretty sure Emily Bronte is not getting money out of it, and it's fine. You know, she doesn't need it. But the thing
Mhm.
is, like, at the end of the day, it's like if books were non-existent because people are buying secondhand, like, where would
Mhm.
literature be? And that's the same thing with films. I bought a Spice Girls DVD this weekend, um, for 12 bucks. Oh no, 25 bucks, sorry. And that's not any royalties for the creators. But
Yeah.
the film is not in print, so I got to buy a secondhand one at this point. So I'm
Mhm.
like, are you going to stop making films because of that? I'm like, we're buying them secondhand because they're not accessible anymore. You know, you're not reprinting them. And now I believe they're going to throw it on streaming. And I posted, I'm like, I don't need to watch it on streaming. I just bought it this weekend. I don't have to
Yeah.
pay for a streamer for that.
Um, and if you look at games and everything else, it is a way for them to monopolize how you
Yeah.
access this content. It's why Amazon's like, oh hey, you should buy books on the Kindle. Because if you can't share a book on the Kindle with your friend. You can lend them your Kindle, but I would not be surprised if Amazon was like, how can we make sure that we have authentication on the Kindle? And games are the same way. If you don't have physical media, you can't resell games. You can't share them with your friends. There's not really going to be a reason to go to GameStop. And that also means that they can have monopolistic pricing structures. Hey, we're the only place you can get a PlayStation game. Hey, we're the only place you can get an Xbox game. And guess what? That means we can charge whatever we want. I made a video recently talking about, Sony's decision to try and get rid of disk drives so that way they don't have to have physical media, basically, ever again. And a big part of it is, yeah, they can charge whatever they want because the only way to get new games for PlayStation is going to be through the online marketplace. Immortals of Aveum, a game that no one played, is $70 on the PlayStation Store. As of recording, the Steam summer sale is going on, and that game is $6. It is less than 10% of the price. And because it's not a big game. You don't need to charge $70, but PlayStation knows, hey, we have no competitors. You can't buy PlayStation games on another online store on the PlayStation. Steam at least has GOG and Epic Games and theoretically Game Pass where you have to compete, but that also drives prices down. And when you get rid of that competition inherent in physical media, you can charge whatever you want. Imagine a world where books were always $100 or games were always $100. A lot less people would be buying books or games or movies if they had to spend $100 every time. Like, hey, we mentioned Obsession in the pre-show, and hey, you don't think they want to charge you $50 to own Obsession digitally? They do, but they know that they can't because they know that someone's going to be able to get Obsession on DVD and share it with their friends. And it's a real way to fight back against, the rampant horrors of capitalism or what have you by investing in that physical media because you can share physical media.
No, it's my apologies. It's true. One of the I don't know what they call them, redditors. He was like, he informed me because again, I don't keep the math on games, and he said, "Oh, most of the games are bought digitally anyway."
Mm-hmm.
I think recently we bought Tomb Raider, the set of 3 on
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation 5. That's probably the only game besides Nintendo. That's probably the only game that I have digitally. If I don't care too much for a game, sure, I'll buy it digitally because at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, if I want to try it out, and also it has to be on sale. I'm not gonna go buy
Yeah.
Zelda Breath of the Wild for $70 still in Nintendo when you can buy that at
It's been
Best
out for
Buy,
9 years.
and you could buy for I bought it for half the price.
Mm-hmm.
And over there, when I went to get, I was like the new one, Awakening or something. That one was 60
Mm-hmm.
something dollars. I'm like, I'll just get it on Amazon. It's half the price. It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's been out for almost 2 years now. I'm not going to spend money on that. That's why I haven't bought the more recent one. And as much as I like Zelda, but the only way that I spend money on a digital game is if I'm too lazy. If I have a party starting in about an hour and we all want to play Mario Kart, but I have
Mm-hmm.
Mario Kart already, so I'll just
Mm-hmm.
buy Mario Smash Bros or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, you know what? It's on sale. I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. But I did not know that most of the games are digital, but it doesn't mean that just because most of the game are digitals, where you could at least do like some companies, movie companies do a limited edition. Like, okay, if most of your sales are digital, then I don't know, make 2,000 copies of a game, and you're
Mm-hmm.
still gonna make some money out of that. I don't think 2,000 people have that many friends to
Mm-hmm.
share it amongst 2,000 more people. Because I can't remember my friend's name, so I keep it down to 4. But I'm guessing some people that are more popular, they have hundreds of friends and they're all going to play the same, disc.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, what's the point of you coming to your friend's house? And I say because it's happened. And before, I grew up in the 90s, you went to your friend's house with your cassette or your disc and you pop it in. Now you have to go to your friend's house. Oh, let me go check my account. Let me log into my account from your Nintendo, your PlayStation. I'm not good with passwords, even though it's the same
Mm-hmm.
password for everything. Oh, I can't log in. Now I need a multi, how do you call that? The multi factor, to prove that
Authenticate,
it's
multi-factor
authenticated.
authentication.
Yeah, just narrow it down. We got a lot of acronyms already. So I'm like, yeah, I can't remember. I'm like, what phone number did I put? And now I don't have good
Mm-hmm.
signal. It's a little bit jumping through hoops to
Mm-hmm.
socialize. Even like, again, if you're going to a party and you want to socialize and play Mario Kart, and I'm not in my house, well, now I can't access my account. What we
Yeah.
do is that we literally carry, and it sounds stupid, but it's true. We literally carry our games, our physical games, our Nintendo Switches to
Mm-hmm.
another house whenever we want to go to a party. Because I know
Yeah.
we're gonna end up playing, and I have most of the games. So it's like if we want to do a party, yeah, now you got to carry not just the hors d'oeuvres and the champagne. Now you got to carry with your Nintendo Switch as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And the thing is that going all digital. Oh, let me rephrase. Physical media is also a major hedge against piracy because there are people that when they see Immortals of Aveum for $70, they say no. And if there's no better way to play it, I'm just going to pirate the thing, right? Hey, cool. Oh, so you're telling me I need to spend $50 on a DVD of Starship Troopers? I'm just gonna go to insert piracy website here and go watch the movie that way. Physical media is a hedge against that. Piracy is mostly an issue of access. If people can access it easily, they're not gonna go to a sketchy website. But if you make your content hard or expensive to get to, people are gonna look at other means.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, that's my fear. Again, as collectors, my fear is just having the access to just what I like. I'm a very OCD, and I'm a very anxious person, and I'm always afraid of losing my things. And I never lose anything because I know where everything is.
Mm-hmm.
But once something is in my computer, I'm not a big techie person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why I love physical media so much. I'm not a big techie person. I have this monster Mac in front of me. I don't know where things are. I don't know where anything on my computer is. I don't know where my photos are. I'm always afraid of my photos being leaked again, but my identity
Mhm.
being stolen for the first time. Like, I'm not a big techie person. And and they're like, "Oh, you're an old person." No, it's just that I'm working half of the time, and the other
Yeah.
time I don't have time to go in and explore my computer. I just use it for my podcast. I use my phone for Instagram.
Mhm.
I cut down into a lot of social media, what I had to start again because of the podcast. So I'm kind of coming back to society little by little, but I don't know. It just feels so different walking into your room and seeing that display. Then how are you gonna walk into your room and you just got like bare walls and oh yeah, let me turn on my TV and my PlayStation and I'm just gonna look at my digital library. That it
Mhm.
doesn't have the same feeling. It doesn't have the
I
same
think a big
feeling.
part that they also don't get is collecting physical media is fun. If listener, you're watching YouTube right now, you can see a bunch of books that I have on the bookcase behind me, and that's one of multiple bookcases that we own. We like books. Having books is fun. I like being able to sort of peruse stuff at my leisure, and it also is just a reminder of the life that I've lived, right? And that's something that physical media can really do. Is like, oh hey, there are books on there that I can tell you when I got them, how long I've had them, and the memories that I associate with them. I'm pointing at a book right now, which is the first volume of Drive, which is a webcomic about space and aliens, and it's really good. I remember taking that on a cruise like a decade ago and trying to get my dad to read it because he likes comics. You can't do that with digital media as much. Handing a book to someone and being able to hold it in your hands is a fundamentally different experience than be like, oh hey, I found this website, Dad, check it out.
Yeah, it's well, when we were talking before in the pre-show, I mentioned that I love traveling. I work for an airline company,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes people ask me, it's like, "Oh, you went to this museum?" I'm like, "What museum?" "Oh, you went to this other place?" I'm like, "What other place?" I'm like, "I can mention every bookstore in London and every movie store
Mm-hmm.
in London, but I'm not gonna go to the British Museum. I went once. One, it smelled. It was too hot, and everything there is stolen. Why would I want to go back?" And then I went to Rome, and I was like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's a rock. That's another rock." I'm like, "Where's the movie stores at?" Google movie
Mm-hmm.
stores. Oh, Profondo Rosso is here. It belongs to Argento. Let me go check that out. The only museum that I remember vividly is the little museum they have on the Profondo Rosso, which is
Mm-hmm.
Argento films, little scenes from Argento films. I don't remember the Vatican. All I remember, the reason I wanted to go back this trip to the Vatican was because I saw Conclave, but I left my umbrella, so I couldn't remake
Mm-hmm.
that scene. So I was a little bit bothered. But I was like, you know what? Profondo Rosa is right down the block from the Vatican. Let me just go down that way. But I'm like, when I travel at this point, I feel like one of my best experiences
Mm-hmm.
was walking into a bookstore in Mexico City and just we said I love politics and I just go to them. I'm like, okay, tell me about your regional politics, your domestic politics. Give me all the books you have on politics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good with French, but I know how to say, democracy in French and stuff like that. But the
Mm-hmm.
same thing when I go to a video store or a movie store in another country and they speak English, I'm like, oh, thank God. Or Spanish, because I
Mm-hmm.
speak Spanish as well. But it's like they tell me about their movies. I love Pedro Almodovar. So when I go to Madrid, which is one of my favorite cities, I'm able to talk to people about Pedro Almodovar. I have
Mm-hmm.
some people from Baltimore that I love talking to them about John Waters, and they don't know anything about John Waters because they're horror fans. But it's like, yeah, I still love talking to people about that. And especially when they know physical media, I've discovered a lot of films because people, oh, go grab that disc, or when I post pictures, people are like, oh, that movie that's on your picture right there, it's a
Mm-hmm.
good horror movie. You should probably pick it up. Actually, pick me a copy as well and send it to
Mm-hmm.
me. I'll send you the money. I'm like, yeah, sure. I travel with an empty suitcase or an empty carry-on bag because I know the first time I went to London, I came back with multiple editions of Harry Potter, which personal reasons no longer supporting. But I have Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre,
Mm-hmm.
which are some of my favorites. And I'm like, and people were like, "Oh, you brought a lot of stuff. What you bring back? Souvenirs?" I'm like, "Well, no, books." You know, half of them, I have trips from 2023 that are still there on the floor because I have nowhere to put them. But when I go to
Mhm,
my room and I sit on the floor because I got nowhere to sit, I'm like, I feel like myself. This is my room. This is my
mhm,
sanctuary. You know, if the world outside goes to hell, at least I'm safe in this little spot right here.
mhm,
But I feel like that's probably, like you said, you know, being able to not just socialize when it comes to physical media, but at
mhm.
least I don't know. For me, it's just seeing it. Most of my shows are a mess, but I know, and when I have to clean it, it's a headache. But it's just like I don't care. Like it makes me
E
happy.
Everything on your shelf is a story,
Yeah,
right? And that is another, even if it's a boring story. Hey, I went to Barnes and Noble and I picked up the book and I got an iced coffee. It's still it's not the most riveting story,
yeah,
but it's still a story, and it helps ingratiate you more into the world at large. I think also something we should bring up is preservation is a lot easier with physical media than digital. I think particularly of there are lots of games that have come out over the years that are lost to time. Um, and for film and TV, if you look at something like Doctor Who, the first few seasons of Doctor Who basically all got burned up in a fire. They got some of the audio, but it wasn't incredibly popular, so it wasn't preserved. And digital media will only preserve the stuff that is popular. And I don't know. I think there are some things that should be kept preserved just for like historical purposes. Hey, maybe this game for the NES was really bad. Maybe this movie that someone made in 1960 sucks. But that doesn't mean that it's not important and also representative of the time that it came out. Digital media is not going to preserve the movie from 1960, right? Like, I
yeah.
know Le Quatre is cool. 400 Blows. Like, hey, that one's going to be preserved, but there's a lot of like French New Wave films that are not going to be touched because they just aren't that popular, but they still should be preserved for the impact they've had on culture.
Yeah, that is true. Um, there was a film where you were mentioning the 400 blows. There was a
Mm-hmm.
French film. Man, I forgot the title right now. I believe it's on Criterion. Well, it was on Criterion.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of print now, but I got it, and I'm like, I did not know anything about the film. People were just posting about it, but it wasn't even the Criterion lovers. It was just random people like I would follow, and you know, they're very, they know their French wave, they know their
Mm-hmm.
French cinema, and they're from UK. You know, I follow some from there, and I was like, where can I find this? And they're like, oh yeah, just go to eBay. You know, so I went to eBay, I found a few, and then I went down a rabbit hole
Mm-hmm.
and found a bunch of other titles that are also out of print. And it's funny because I'm like, you mentioned films that some people might not care about. I don't care about The Room. I don't know if you know
Mm-hmm.
the movie The Room.
I
Um,
I I drank a
it's
lot while watching that in
So
college.
yeah, so my former roommate used to love that movie. I hated it, but it doesn't mean that the movie shouldn't exist. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the Prince Charles Cinema. I don't know if they have stocks in that movie, but they basically make an event almost every year or maybe twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the actor, the creator, comes and you know he shares with the people in the cinema uh after the movie, before the movie. I think he even watches the movie with them. But the fact that that movie, some people have that movie physically, I don't think that's a movie that a lot of companies are gonna take the risk of, you know, preserving or you know upgrading to 4K if it's even possible, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, I wouldn't mind. What do you mean? What would I say? Like at least collecting it just to like have a part of that history of probably one of the worst
Mm-hmm.
films ever made. But if we're going by, oh, this film is the worst or this movie is the best, and that's how, you know, like you said, that's how we're preserving things. I'm like, I don't know, then why did we preserve Solo? You know, it is I like it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a horrible movie, but it's a movie that is not for everyone. You know, that
Oh
movie is
yeah.
not for everyone. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who collect physical media don't want it because it's not a very well, it's not a known film for being good, or it's not a
Mhm.
film known for, being entertaining. And they're collecting physical media to be entertained. And I mean, unless you're into some, I don't know, never mind. Keep it safe for work, because that movie should not be talked about at all. But it's still a movie that you should see, because if you're watching it from a perspective of, this is uh this is a time in history, and this stuff kind of still repeats itself. You watch it with that eye, with that mentality, you're like, yeah, no, this is a very important film. I mean,
Yeah.
the 400 blows, I love the 400 blows.
Oh, 400 blows is so good.
That
Like one of the final shots.
Yeah.
Hey, cool. They didn't have dollies or anything, so they got the camera in a shopping cart and they were they were pushing the cart
Yep.
alongside the kid to get that shot. Hey, it's really important. But if you say, "Oh, hey, have you seen 400 blows?" to like a regular person, they're like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Is that a new Marvel movie? Is that the new Dragon Ball Z movie?" No, it's not, but they have no way of knowing.
Just don't type that on Reddit, because I'm pretty sure you'll end up on the wrong Reddit platform. But there's another French film, Avoir les enfants, a
Mm-hmm.
goodbye to the children. That was a blind buy for me, and that wasn't even during the Criterion sale. I just bought it, and that film itself is such a beautiful film. It's a Jewish kid becomes friends with a non-Jewish kid, and then I don't want to, spoil anything, but their friendship is a little rocky at the beginning. Then when he finds out, he's being, they're searching for them and stuff like that. It's and then you have some people there that are a little bit untrustworthy. So, it's such a hard film to watch, especially like in these times. And I play it at least once or twice a year. The
Mm-hmm.
same thing with La Haine. Like, I love that film. It's such a hard, I mean, I think French cinema is so amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
most of it I've discovered through physical media, because I can't put La Haine over here on Netflix. I don't think it's there. I don't think it's on
No.
streaming. Period. So I'm like, discovering all these films through DVDs and VH. I don't care. I still buy DVDs, no matter what people say. And Blu-rays and stuff is so different than just trying to search, oh, I want to learn about French New Wave or just French cinema
Mm-hmm.
in general. Well, you're not going to find that. You can't just put that on
Yeah.
Netflix. You can't Google it. I mean, you could Google it, but you're not going to click straight up to finding Avales and Fonts over here on Amazon. I think you probably have to buy it. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm like, at that point.
One of my favorite films that I've ever seen is called Children of Heaven. It's an
Hmm.
Iranian film. It's really, really good. There's no way that Netflix is gonna have Children of Heaven on its platform. They're just not. And the only reason that I saw it, I think, is because my film teacher in high school had a DVD of it. And yeah, that doesn't. Hey, just because it's an Iranian film doesn't mean that it's not worthy of like recognition and also preservation. And the thing is, every movie is someone's favorite movie. It doesn't matter what movie it is. Every movie is someone's favorite movie. And if that person goes on to make another movie, we have a vested interest in preserving the first movie, right? Hey, this person really loved Morbius. Why? And they went on to make like a whole new platform and yada yada yada. This is the new Christopher Nolan, and his favorite film was Morbius. Well, now we gotta preserve Morbius.
I bought that.
Unfortunately.
I bought that. And my partner was like, "Wait, why did you buy this?" I'm like, "Oh, I thought you liked Morbius." He's like, "No, that's a joke." I'm like, "Oh, so it is." Again, I'm not big when it comes to social cues, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to like, I love sarcasm, just not when somebody else is doing it. But when they were talking about sorry, Morbius, and they were like, "Oh, this
Mm-hmm.
film is so great. I watched it on the plane. I was entertained." And other people were like, "Oh, this movie is the funniest thing I've ever seen." And I'm like, "Oh, so let me." I never seen it, so I bought it
Mm-hmm.
and I watched it. I was like, "Why do people like this film? This is like a horrible film." And then my brother was like, "Oh no, that is a joke. That is a horrible
Yeah.
film." I was like, "Then why did I spend $30 on a 4K? Like I thought it was a good film." It's like I didn't return it because the return policy was already done by the time I watched it. But I'm like, but I don't mind selling it. I don't mind exchanging it for store credit or something. But you know,
But
some films just need to be preserved for
yeah,
us to keep the humor alive.
yes, even bad media should be preserved. I don't care if you wrote the worst book ever, so long as it's not AI. Sure, you wrote a book. It should still be preserved. I don't know if it's going to be in a library, but the stuff that people make should not be lost to time. I know enough about history to know that we've lost a lot of stuff over the years because people just didn't really care. I mean, Library of Alexandria is actually not as bad as people think, but
Yeah.
it was all copies of other works. People came to Alexandria, people would be like, "Yo, can I copy that book on your boat?" And then they copied the book. It was a library full of copies. So we didn't really lose everything. But hey, stuff like that's still important, and having all that to look back on is helpful for historians and helpful for just students in general. Morbius should be preserved so kids can watch Morbius and be like, why is this movie bad? The kids need to know.
They need the context of why the movie is bad.
Exactly, because historical context is really important, not just when you are a historian, but also when you're a creator. Hey, if I wanted to make something that harkens back to French New Wave cinema, I would need to watch a bunch of French New Wave stuff. It's not just 400 Blows. There's a lot of other stuff in that time period. And just because I only remember the name of 400 Blows doesn't mean that it's the only one that matters.
I mean, you have Jean-Luc Godard, and one of my friends swears by him, and I try to watch his films. I have most of his films. Why? Don't ask. But I just keep buying them, and I was like, maybe I'll like this one. Nope. Maybe I'll like this other one. Nope. It's just there's something I feel like he can't focus. Regardless, it's not a review on John Luke, but the point is that even if I don't like John Luke Godard films, my friend does, and I can see why he likes them. It's not that I can't see. I see a film. I'm like, you can tell me, my favorite film for my favorite films. Scream, The Silence of the Lambs, As Good as It Gets, and Eyes Wide Shut. Total different variety. But I can tell you why I love each one and why they all fit together, and it composes, it makes me, who I am. I'm not saying I'm going to parties wearing masks, but, but the psychology behind that, I loved it. And the thing is that I can understand why he loves Jean-Luc Godard. I forgot the title of the films right now, but they're fun. They feel young, and I can see that he's that type of person. He's a photographer, and I'm like, yeah, they fit your personality. Maybe that a Jean-Luc Godard film is more because my personality aligns with it. I like them. Meanwhile, I could just go and watch, Vagabond and, maybe feel more comfortable with that one, even though it's also a little bit of a depressing film. But, it's you pick and choose what films identify with you. And again, discovering them through physical media. Because again, most of my Jean-Luc Godard, I don't know if they have them on streaming.
No, and that's a problem with if you only do digital media is you are relying on these giant corporations to determine what you are allowed to watch. Oh man, yeah, there's tons of stuff, but what about the stuff that they actively don't want on the platform? Because you know that there are Sony executives, there are Netflix executives that are saying, hey, I don't want this on the platform. It's not representative of our values. And when they say stuff like that, you should be interested in what they are trying to keep from you. And if you have physical media, you are not restrained by them.
Yeah. Right. I mean, right now, some of the stuff that when you said you wanted to talk about, lost media as well. And right now that we're talking about that, like I said, The Room could be one that could just disappear out of nowhere. And I think London After Midnight, somebody mentioned, oh, I want to collect all the films in the world. Impossible, because two of them burned out. A few of them have burned out. from was it nitrogen that they use on the film or whatever, and
Mhm.
it's like London Fog, London After Midnight is one of them. Everybody wants to watch that film. Why? Because it's impossible to find. Now everybody wants to watch it. So guess what? If somebody can copy, not copy paste, but like restore tiny little bits of it
Mhm.
to restore that film, then yeah, that film is gonna sell out. That the physical format of the film is gonna sell out. And but trying to own everything just for the sake of owning it, I get it, but at the same time, it's like you do have right now it's a Criterion month, and I've been doing
Mhm.
a few episodes, and I'm working on a few topics of Criterion month for the Criterion month, is because of the alternative cuts. Number one, that's something you want to have. I love Kubrick. He's one of my favorite directors. I love all his films. Not a lot of people do, and that's fine. But right now, you have some Kubrick films that have versions that people have not seen. We could not have those versions here in the US because they were not allowed, they were banned, and you know, how do you call what's the rating system? And no, you know what? Okay, so now I got a UK edition. Criterion has a UK version of
Mhm.
Eyes Wide Shut. Great, that's one of my favorite films. Is it better than? No, it's not. It's just as good. But the thing is, like, at least I have access now to that version that I never had. I saw
Mhm.
Eyes Wide Shut in theaters, and my friend was there for different reasons than me. He only went because he saw the
Mhm.
trailer. I went because I know Kubrick. And I was mind blown. He was mind blown, but we were mind blown for different reasons. And I came out of that movie. I was like, yeah, no, there's no way that any other film is gonna beat this one. Most of my favorite films are like from before 2005, I guess.
Mhm.
So that kind of also adds up. But my thing is like you have the at least for TV when you mention TV, you have the TV edits. You have I don't know how many edits Seinfeld has. That's a very cult classic. I'm not a fan of Seinfeld, but again, I have friends who are, and I try to watch it, and I'm like, it's not for me. Like the characters are very me, but it's just not a me show.
Yeah.
You have the bonus features and director commentaries. You got regional releases. Like I said, Ice Wide Shut has a UK version. And
Mhm.
again, bringing it back to like the silent films that completely disappeared. Some of them are still, I Walk with a Zombie. It's probably one of the first zombie movies. I believe it was 1930s, 1940s. And a lot of people that love zombie movies don't know of that film. And I'm like,
Yeah.
the best way to discover it is through the Criterion collection, which they have it. I don't think I've seen that film outside of the Criterion film, to be honest. And I'm not defending Criterion because I got my thoughts on them as well. But the fact that they're probably one of the biggest companies, at least here in the US, who because a lot of their stuff is also from Studio Canal, and they just paste the Criterion logo, or
Mhm.
Coruscant, and they just paste the Criterion logo. But at least they take the time to preserve all those films that could have been dead. I didn't know about
Yeah.
High Art, the Blow Up, which is probably one of my favorite films from UK. Like I did not know about those films until I'm like surrounded by all these films, all these physical media, and I'm like, oh, let me check that. I judge them by the cover, and it's fine. And I'm like, I love the cover and Blow Up, and it turned out to be a great film. Like
Mhm.
I discovered it that way, and again, you discover things your own way. But I don't think that through Netflix, or again, we're not badging on Netflix, but Amazon or whoever you stream with, I don't think you're going to be sitting there for 7 hours going through all their film catalog. It's
No.
impossible.
And there's also something to be said about censorship, right? Say that the CEO of Disney decides, actually, I don't like gay people. And he removes all of the queer films
Mhm.
from Disney Plus. What are you going to do about that? You can't do anything about that if you are only relying on streaming or digital media. I'm a bisexual man. I enjoy various kinds of queer film. A lot of those are not necessarily people's favorite thing to have on their platform. And with the rise of the alt-right, you know, all across the world, we're seeing pushback against that kind of content. So again, having physical media is also important for that reason, because hey, if someone decides politically, actually, I don't like this anymore. I'm going to get rid of all of it. No, you're not allowed to watch, but I'm a cheerleader anymore. I'm going to wipe it from my service. Hey, people should still be able to have copies of that movie, you know?
No, yeah, I totally agree with that. I if every movie that they ban, if they ban every movie that is inappropriate, I think that I
Mm-hmm.
would be left with probably just my Disney. Oh no, those will be gone too because Pocahontas
Mm-hmm.
technically is inappropriate. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just like
Pocahontas is woke
yeah,
now!
no, like yeah, Pocahontas, the Emperor's New Groove, I guess is
Mm-hmm.
racist because you have David Spade being what is it, Chilean, Peruvian? So there's always
No, no,
gonna
no, no,
be.
no. Remember, the main character dresses up as a woman.
Oh
There
yeah,
we
yeah.
go.
They're pushing
It's
drag. They're
there we
pushing
go.
drag. And I'm like, come
Mm-hmm.
on! I grew up with SpongeBob, and
Mm-hmm.
there's one thing that there's to quote Whoopi Goldberg here because I always have to go back to Whoopi or Robin Williams. Actually, as a matter of fact, like, and sorry for this small tangent, um, if we were talking about censorship today, and not just from the right or also from the left, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, Robin Williams would not have a career because he would
Mm-hmm.
call out anybody, and he was always on the right side of history, but you could be on the right side and call things out and still be, canceled. But, Whoopi Goldberg said it best is, you're attacking SpongeBob. Because I think this was back in the day, like in like 2003, 4. You're attacking SpongeBob, but Sponge, he has no genitalia. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you're attacking him for being or gay or bisexual. He's a sponge. He loves everybody. He has a girlfriend in one episode and is hitting on Squidward on the other one. So it's just a little it's a little annoying sometimes what people consider what you should watch because this is appropriate, this is not appropriate. And I love John Waters. I mentioned that I loved Pedro Almodovar, that he's one of my favorite directors, but I love John Waters, and he makes films that are not suitable for a lot of people, not just for
Mm-hmm.
children, but for a lot of people. Do I think that
Yeah.
children should watch Pink Flamingos? Sure, why not? I mean, if you're an open-minded parent, sure, why not? But I mean, start with Harrisburg first. But my thing is that he's a very polarizing director. He's done films that are just pushing the boundaries of what should do in cinema. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can say that's art house, I guess, now, because everything now is art house. They can't define what art house is, but everything is art house now. And I'm like, yeah, that's camp. That's what real cinema, indie cinema really looks like. You want to make indie cinema, go study John Waters. And that budget, what he did with those budget, that is then
Mm-hmm.
you can call yourself an indie director, an indie whatever you want to call yourself, insert indie here. But it's just like, and having those now, Criterion release Hairspray and Desperate Living.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to find Desperate Living for a while, at least like in a good version, because I collect his films. But I'm like, I saw it. It was a good film. I mean, I always find some beauty in his films, but you know, I'm like, but again, I just love the fact that you said like, this is what's suitable for you. This is not what's suitable for you, and you got to watch what we tell you. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
dictatorship.
Which is what
That's
they want, right? It's also
yeah.
what advertisers want. Advertisers want to be able to say, okay, cool. I don't want Capital One to be associated with the gays, TM. So we're gonna cancel whatever. We're seeing that with like payment processors and such because
Yeah.
there's like 100 moms in Australia that are saying actually my kid should not be allowed to consume this, and so they're getting stuff banned, and they're talking to credit card companies, and credit card companies are like, hey, you actually can't buy this with your own money. Physical media is important for that reason too. We should not let hey, you know what you can't do online? Make a digital purchase with cash. Hey, a payment processor cannot stop a cash transaction at a movie store. Hey, if I wanted to buy, but I'm a cheerleader, I can do that with cash, and my credit card company can't deny it. Right? They could deny it if I tried buying through PlayStation or something, you know? And that's another reason why physical media is important, because we shouldn't let a few companies dictate what is acceptable speech.
Well, and to add on that part of cash is
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're going hard for just pushing everything has to be digital, you're kind of, like you said, you're kind of cutting also a segment of the people, the word that's just literally escaped my mind, but you're kind of cutting a segment that doesn't have access to
Mm-hmm.
reliable internet, which we're in the US, and a lot of people, half the country still doesn't have reliable internet. And how about those people that have no access whatsoever to
Mm-hmm.
internet, but still can go down, drive 3 miles, 4 miles to a mall or another dying, structure. But you go
Mm-hmm.
down to a mall, to a GameStop or EB Games, whichever one exists still, and buy a physical film, then drive back 3 miles home. But the thing is, like, they have access through it
Mm-hmm.
physically that maybe they don't, digitally, because they don't have good internet access. You're literally
Yeah.
cutting a whole population, a good percent of the population. You're basically just leaving them stranded. Some people can't even update their games because the Wi-Fi signal is not good.
Yeah,
Like,
and day one updates and the amount of patches that games get,
oh, Jesus
that
Christ,
that's a whole other conversation that I could spend a long time talking about,
dude.
and I am going to make a long form video on it, and I am going to blame all of it on No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, great game. It taught everybody that you can ship a broken game so long as you promise to fix it later.
Jesus Christ.
And that's not great.
Yeah, that
But
I waited. I think I waited almost, and I'm not gonna lie. And now that you brought that, I'm like, that's why I don't even turn on my PlayStation anymore. Every time I turn it on, it's like, oh, we need an update. I'm like, I haven't played in a few months or a year, and I
mhm,
finally want to sit down. By the time my Nintendo needed an update, I
mhm,
left the room. I left it updating. I came back. It was still updating. I started cooking and stuff, and then I forgot my Nintendo was still on 5 hours later,
mhm.
and I was like, "Oh yeah, I wanted to play Nintendo." Well, not anymore, because it was taking forever to update. And
Yeah.
one PlayStation game that I bought, it was downloading the game to the PlayStation. I'm like, "Why is it taking 3 hours?" My brother's like, "Oh, because it's downloading the game." I'm like, "But this is the game." No, 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 that's
Well,
the
half
disc.
the time the disc now is just a download code. It's just saying, "Hey, cool, this console can download this thing online."
Jesus, if my DVDs did that, I would not be collecting movies.
Yeah. And that's another thing. But with that, I said it's a great place to leave off. So, is there anything else you'd like to leave us with before we say goodbye to our wonderful audience?
Yes, I want to say again, protect your physical media. If that belongs to you, film preservation isn't just the studio's responsibility. Collectors, we play collectors and gamers, not just because some people don't collect films,
Mhm,
but us as gamers or those who are gamers, is our responsibility really to collect it,
mhm,
to keep it alive, because often we got to keep alive our transfers, we got to keep alive our commentary tracks, we got to prove to them with our hard-earned dollar that this is what we want them to keep making physical games. If you want to listen, at least if you're interested in movies and films and small businesses when it comes to films, you can check out
mhm,
my podcast, the Physical Cut Podcast, or you can follow me also on the Physical Cut Pod on Instagram. I'm always ranting there about physical media. I love supporting small collectors. That was the whole purpose of my podcast. Spotlight businesses, spotlight collectors, and with this news of PlayStation, it really hit home, close to home, because
mhm,
again, if they come for games and I say nothing, when they come for physical media, there's nobody there going to be standing for me, because
mhm,
at the end of the day, we're going to be standing alone. But we're a community, and that's the whole purpose of us, like, support each other. And
mhm.
again, I am so grateful for this time, man. I really love talking to you about this. When you wanted to go on a rant with this, invite me anytime. But yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
And with that, listener, again, thank you so much for listening. If you liked this episode, be sure to go onto YouTube and leave a comment or a like, or if you're listening on a podcast platform, leave me a review. That's basically the only thing Spotify uses to be like, this might be a good show. And I would like for this podcast to grow, and wouldn't that be nice? But yeah, with that, thank you for making it to the end of the episode, and have a great rest of your day.